Motorhead Garage, presented by NHOU Protective Coatings, is brought to you by Magic Creeper, the most versatile creeper ever. Custom Auto Sound, the originator of classic car OEM fit radios since 1977. Ameribraid, a professional belt grinder made in America. Sundown Audio, innovative world-class car audio. And by Superior Products, professional auto detailing supplies and car wash chemicals.
Well, we used the code reader in the old Dauber Cruiser, and everything was pointing to exhaust and the catalytic converters. Now, Tom, 4 of them in the Xterra. This is an example of one. Now, before I go and replace those, what are some of the ancillary things I need to think about?
Well, if there's a problem that damaged the catalytic converters, you don't want to put in a new catalytic converter without fixing those problems because you'll damage your new one. Catalytic converters do wear out over time, so it could just be the catalytic converter, but make sure you've replaced the maintenance stuff, the spark plugs, the ignition coils, to make sure that you're not putting unburned fuel into the catalytic converter that'll overheat it. That'll damage it. If your engine's just worn out, you need new piston rings. You could replace valve seals. That's usually not very expensive. But if you're anything that's leaking oil, engine oil into the catalytic converter, that'll turn into ash and damage it.
And you're talking a big rebuild if you're talking.
Yeah, except for the valve seals that can be something that you can do yourself, and it's not a big problem on a lot of engines. And another thing, a lot of newer engines have plastic intake manifolds. Sometimes those crack over time, and the coolant passages leak, so you'll leak coolant in your catalytic converter, and that'll create ash and clog it up too. So those are ignition, engine oil, and coolant. You don't want those in the, you don't want unburned fuel, you don't want coolant, you don't want engine oil in your catalytic converter. And
you certainly don't want to replace the catalytic converters only to find out it's some other problem that's leading to that.
Right, yeah, you don't want to damage the new one. And whenever you're replacing a catalytic converter, or just as routine maintenance, usually it's like every 100,000 miles, you want to replace the oxygen sensors, because those are the sentinels controlling the fuel-air mixture, telling the computer if the right fuel-air mixture is coming to the engine. And if those don't work, then your catalytic converter is more likely to get damaged, and you'll get all sorts of engine trouble codes. So, yeah, whenever you replace the catalytic converter, put new oxygen sensors, and just as part of routine maintenance, replace those periodically.
So if you're going in and you're going to replace a part, you might as well get the parts that go with it. You can get all of that at rockauto.com. If you've seen Motorhead Garage before, you've seen Tribotex most likely, and we can talk all about it all we want, Pasha, and say that it's going to make your engine last longer, it's going to make it perform better, it's even going to repair old damage. But don't take our word for it. You've gotten accolades from a whole bunch of different organizations. Tell me some of the awards that you've won.
It was just recently featured by the Forbes magazine. We got NASA Spin-Off Award of 2020. We got Defense Innovation Award of 2017. And what is interesting thing about military mechanics, they don't make more money if your stuff breaks more often. It's opposite. They're very interested in their things lasting as long as possible.
So the military guys, what are they looking at? What kind of qualities for Tribotex?
For example, when tank shoots, that brings tremendous stress on the parts, and the oil deteriorating those touched pieces. So tank that shoots, that doesn't drive very far. On the other side, cars also can have stress when they jump in the pothole or tow something that is bouncing back and forth. With those things, Tribotex create a film that is self-regulating and remove those stresses and self-organize them into a smooth condition after you drive again. So it makes not just last longer, but recover from the damages that happened in the past.
So shock and stress and those kinds of things can make things wear out more quickly, and those are a lot of forces the military guys are looking at.
Yes.
And then you mentioned Air Force as well.
Air Force specifically, they look for things to extend longevity of existing platforms beyond what they have right now. The cars usually last for 10, 20 years, but planes, 60. We expect from them to last over 100 years in, for example, KC-135 fleet. And they also ground support equipment, generators, the landing gear that goes along with that. That's what we want to extend life as long as possible.
NASA, the Army, and the Air Force all think Tribotex is great, and it does wonders for their vehicles. It can do wonders for yours. You can check it out at tribotex.com. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Motorhead Garage presented by NHOU Protective Coatings. Let's say we do it again next week. Same time, same sandbox. And if you have a product you want to see featured on the show, email jeff@masterstv.com. We'll get you here in our Masters Entertainment Group studios. From our entire crew here at the studio, so long. We'll see you next time.